The massive study hall of Galactic University Station buzzed with nervous energy as Professor Zek 9 announced the final assignment for advanced planetary studies. The blue-skinned Altarian professor looked across the mixed crowd of alien students with his four gleaming eyes. "Your task is simple," he said in his mechanical voice. "Choose one classified Deathworld and present your findings to the class. You have 7 rotations to complete this project." In the back row, 3 alien students sat together sharing worried glances. Vera was from the peaceful water world of Aquanus, where the biggest danger was a mild current. Her silver skin shimmered as she nervously tapped her webbed fingers on the desk. Beside her sat Kex, a rock-like being from the mountain world of Petrolia, where nothing ever changed for thousands of years. His granite features showed deep concern. The third member of their group was Lynn, a graceful, plant being from the garden world of Floralis, where everything grew in perfect harmony. "We should pick something easy," whispered Vera through her gills. "Maybe that ice world in Sector 7. All the good safe ones are taken," groaned Kex, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. "Look at the list." Lynn stretched her vine-like arm to examine the assignment board. Most of the well-known death worlds were already claimed by other students. Volcanic worlds full of lava, ice planets with deadly storms, gas giants with crushing gravity. Only one name remained unclaimed at the bottom of the list. "Earth, what about this one?" Lynn pointed with a delicate leaf finger. "It says here that Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, but the file seems smaller than the others." The 3 friends looked at each other uncertainly. They had never heard of Earth before. The database entry was surprisingly brief compared to other death worlds, which usually had thousands of pages of warnings. "And safety protocols, how dangerous could it be?" shrugged Kex. "The file is only 12 pages long. That volcanic world of Infernus has over 3,000 pages of documentation. They registered for Earth as their research topic and headed to the digital archives. What they found in those first few hours made them question everything they thought they knew about dangerous worlds. The planet Earth was located in a small solar system on the outer edge of the Milky Way galaxy. It was the 3rd planet from a medium-sized yellow star. The basic facts seemed ordinary enough: oxygen atmosphere, liquid water oceans, temperature range suitable for carbon-based life. Nothing in the initial data suggested extreme danger. "This seems almost normal," said Vera, scanning through the environmental reports. "The gravity is only slightly higher than standard. The atmosphere is breathable for most species. Where is the danger?" But as they dug deeper into the classified files, their confusion turned to growing alarm. The planet was home to an incredible variety of life forms. Millions of different species lived on the surface, in the oceans, and even underground. This biological diversity was unprecedented in their experience. "Look at this," Lynn called out, pointing to a section about Earth's dominant species. "They call themselves humans. Bipedal mammals with relatively weak physical capabilities. No natural armor, no claws or fangs, no poison glands. How did such fragile creatures survive on a death world?" The answer came in the next set of files, and it sent chills through all 3 students. Humans had not just survived on Earth, they had conquered it completely. These seemingly weak mammals had spread to every corner of their hostile planet. They lived in frozen wastelands where temperatures dropped far below what should kill them. They built cities in scorching deserts where other species would die in minutes. They sailed across violent oceans during massive storms that could destroy starships. "This cannot be accurate," whispered Kex, reading about human mountain climbers. "It says here that humans climb to the tops of mountains for recreation, mountains that are so high the air becomes too thin to breathe. They do this voluntarily." The more they read, the more impossible it seemed. Humans regularly exposed themselves to deadly radiation from their sun by lying on beaches for hours. They jumped out of flying vehicles thousands of feet above ground with only thin fabric to slow their fall. They dove deep underwater without breathing equipment to hunt for food. They ran across vast distances in extreme heat just to prove they could do it. "This entry about their food is terrifying," said Lynn, her photosynthetic skin turning pale green. "Humans consume other living creatures. Not just plants, but animals too. They actually hunt and kill other life forms and eat their flesh." Vera nearly fainted at this revelation. On her world, all nutrients came from filtered minerals in the water. The idea of consuming another living being was absolutely horrifying. Yet humans did this routinely and apparently enjoyed it. The files revealed that humans had domesticated some of the most dangerous creatures on their planet. They kept massive predatory animals called dogs in their homes as companions. These beasts had powerful jaws filled with sharp teeth, but humans treated them like family members. They rode on the backs of huge herbivorous creatures called horses that could easily crush them with a single kick. But the most shocking discovery came when they found the section on human conflict resolution. Humans did not settle disputes through peaceful negotiation or legal arbitration like civilized species. Instead, they engaged in something called warfare, where large groups of humans would intentionally try to harm or kill each other using increasingly sophisticated weapons. They have weapons that can destroy entire cities. Kex read aloud, his rocky voice shaking. Bombs that create explosions visible from space. Chemical weapons that poison the air itself. They have developed over 1,000 different ways to kill each other, and they keep inventing new ones. The warfare section went on for hundreds of pages. Humans had been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. They formed massive armies with millions of soldiers. They built weapons of unimaginable destruction. They developed strategies and tactics for causing maximum damage to their enemies. Yet somehow their species had survived and thrived despite this constant internal violence. "Wait," said Vera, pointing to another file. "It gets worse. Look at this section about human entertainment." The entertainment files revealed activities that would be classified as torture by any civilized standard. Humans voluntarily participated in combat sports where the goal was to physically harm opponents. They watched other humans compete in deadly racing events where fatal accidents were common. They created fictional stories about violence and conflict and consumed this content for pleasure. One subsection detailed something called extreme sports. Humans would intentionally put themselves in life-threatening situations for no reason other than the thrill of potentially dying. They threw themselves off cliffs attached to elastic cords. They surfed on massive ocean waves that could easily drown them. They drove vehicles at incredible speeds around dangerous tracks where crashes were frequent. "I think I understand now," said Lynn after reading for several hours. "Earth is not just a death world because of natural hazards. It is a death world because everything on it, including the dominant species, is actively trying to survive in the most hostile environment imaginable. The humans are not weak creatures who somehow survived. They are the most dangerous predators their planet has ever produced." The realization was terrifying. Humans had evolved on a world where simply staying alive required constant struggle against natural disasters. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, droughts, ice ages, and countless other environmental threats. They shared their planet with creatures that could kill them in seconds. Venomous snakes, massive predatory cats, bears that could tear apart steel, microscopic organisms that caused deadly diseases. Yet humans had not just survived, they had turned their hostile environment into an advantage. They had learned to hunt the dangerous predators. They had developed medicine to fight the deadly microorganisms. They had built structures that could withstand earthquakes and hurricanes. They had turned their planet's aggressive nature into their own strength. "Look at their space program," whispered Kex, pointing to the final section of files. "They strapped themselves to controlled explosions and launched themselves into the vacuum of space decades before they had safe technology. The first human space travelers had less than a 50% chance of survival, but they went anyway." The space exploration files showed the same pattern of impossible courage and determination. Humans had sent crews to other worlds in their solar system, using primitive technology that barely worked. They had walked on the surface of their airless moon wearing nothing but thin suits of fabric and metal. They had built stations in orbit around their planet and lived there for months at a time. When the presentation day arrived, the 3 students stood before their classmates with trembling appendages. They had prepared a careful summary of their findings, but they knew their audience would never believe the truth. "Earth appears to be an ordinary planet," began Vera. "But it is inhabited by the most dangerous species in known space." They showed images of humans engaging in their routine activities. Swimming in oceans filled with predatory creatures, climbing mountains in freezing temperatures, running marathons across burning deserts, exploring deep caves that could collapse at any moment. The other students laughed at first, thinking this was some